Hello everybody, thank you again for all the writing you have done for Chunk 6. Our Lion King adventures are looking spectacular. They are looking brilliant with so much detail and I'm really proud of them, so hopefully you're proud of your writing too. From the chunk that we've written today, I've selected 5 children. So I've got Lucy from year 2, Ray from year 1, Buddy from year 1, Bonnie from year 2, and I've also got Jessie from reception class. And together you have written Chunk 6, our romantic scene. This is how it goes. Years later, in the nice, shady jungle, Simba and Nala meet again. The lions are so excited to see each other. The magic in the air grows and the look of love is in their eyes. I've not seen him in a long time, thinks Nala. Nala gives Simba a crucial message. You have to go back to Pride Rock and become king. You are the king, said Nala. Well done, what a fantastic chunk. And we're almost there now, we've just got 2 chunks left. Our next chunk is chunk 7, and in chunk 7 we're going to describe the scene when Simba returns to Pride Rock and he faces Scar. Now the final part of the film we're going to split into 2 chunks. In chunk 7 we're going to do up until the bit where Simba jumps up, he pounces up from the cliff after having discovered how his father died. So we've got 3 targets. Our first target, we're going to borrow a sentence from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe written by C.S. Lewis, and we're going to change it and use it in our chunk. Our next target is a complex sentence, and we're going to use the word as to start off our sentence. So for example, as Simba backs away, he slips and ends up hanging from the cliff. And finally, we're getting really good at using our speech marks, which is a year 3, year 4 kind of objective, but we're getting really good at using these. We're going to include some of the conversation between Scar and Simba. There we go, let's get started. Right, so I've got my sentence here that we're going to borrow from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe written by C.S. Lewis. Now this sentence comes when Aslan, the lion in the story, returns from the dead. And it's a little bit similar how Simba returns in this scene. Let me read it to you. There, shining in the sunrise, larger than they had seen him before, shaking his mane, stood Aslan himself. Now we're going to use this sentence for our Lion King story. Instead of Aslan, it will be Simba, won't it? And it's also not shining in the sunrise when Simba reappears to the lions. So I need to change that part of the sentence. So instead of shining in the sunrise, I'm going to have to think about something a little bit different for our scene. Larger than they had seen him before, that's okay. Shaking his mane, that's okay because he does do that in the film. But instead of Aslan, it is Simba, isn't it? So we're going to use this fantastic C.S. Lewis sentence in our writing. We're going to be inspired by one of the best. Now I'm going to leave a line after my previous chunk, and now I'm going to start writing using that C.S. Lewis sentence to guide me. So I'm going to start off with there, and then I'm going to do a comma, there. Now where is Simba? What's he doing? Roaring under the clouds, roaring in the rain. It's thunder and lightning, isn't it? Running through the thunder. Yes, I like this. There, roaring through the thunder. Larger than they had seen him before, shaking his mane, stood Simba himself. What a great way to start our chunk. Right, so that was our first sentence, and quite an easy one because we've basically borrowed that from C.S. Lewis and just changed it a little bit. And when you're reading, you can look out for sentences that you enjoy, look out for words that you like, and then use them in your own writing. There's no harm in that. Right, so our next target is to use this complex sentence. And I said that we're going to use the word as to start the sentence. So I need to think, what can I write with as? So Simba's there, and then as Simba backs away, he slips over. As Scar reminds Simba of what happened, as Scar reminds Simba of the past, Simba slips and ends up hanging off the cliff. Or as Scar retells the past, something along those lines. So I'm going to start my sentence now. I've got some ideas. As Simba backs away from Scar. Remember, Simba and Scar to have those start with that capital letter. As Simba backs away from Scar, comma, and now I can continue the sentence how I like. Go back to my thinking side now. As Simba backs away from Scar, he slips, he falls, he trips, he stumbles. I like the word stumbles. I'm going to go back to my writing side now and continue my sentence. Now I've got some ideas. So as Simba backs away from Scar, he slips. I'm going to go for. So as Simba backs away from Scar, he slips and ends up and is left hanging from the cliff edge. How will I spell edge? That's got a year 2 spelling rule in it. Edge, and that j sound is done with a D and a G and an E. So edge. There we go. It's the cliff edge. So make sure you get edge spelt correctly, year 2. So as Simba backs away from Scar, he slips and is left hanging from the cliff edge. Right, so I'm going to do my next target, my final target, which is to include some speech. And I'm going to do the bit where Scar goes, "This looks familiar." You know, when he sees Simba hanging beneath him, he goes, "This looks familiar." So make sure you start with a 66 in the sky and then end after familiar with a comma and do a 99. So "This looks familiar," says Scar. Full stop. And then I'm going to continue with some more speech. I'm going to go, "This is how I killed Mufasa," whispers Scar. So again, 66, capital T. "This is how I killed Mufasa." Make sure you use Mufasa with a capital M as well, because it's his name. So "this is how I killed Mufasa." Now, he wouldn't want the other lions to hear him say this, so I'm going to, instead of saying "he said" or "he says," I'm going to use the word whisper. So "he whispers," full stop. And then I'm just going to add one last sentence, a really quick sentence, just 3 words. Simba pounces up. Sometimes those short sentences are the best. So Simba pounces up, and then we're going to leave it there, leave the action there, ready for our last chunk, which we'll do tomorrow. Now, just before we go, I'm just going to read what we've written so far today. So here we go. There, roaring through the thunder, larger than they had seen him before, shaking his mane, stood Simba himself. As Simba backs away from Scar, he slips and is left hanging from the cliff edge. "This looks familiar," says Scar. "This is how I killed Mufasa," he whispers. Simba pounces up. There we go, everybody. Well done for all your hard work today, and see you tomorrow.